Welcome to PA Timbergus, another lovely Saturday morning. Very chilly today. I believe today is February 28th. And we're back on the Wildcat today. Currently I am in State Game Lands 257. This is gate 10. And we're going to take a walk around here. And I never walked back this road. I never walked back this road very far, but we're going to check it out today. I looked at it on Google Earth yesterday, so we'll see where this goes. I'm directly above the park at the bottom of the hill on the left. This parking lot's been here for quite a few years, and they clear cut this area along the road quite a few years ago, so we'll take a look at it here. I think they did it to keep the deer from running across the road and getting hit by cars, because that's where they most of them seem to go across and get nailed. So it's very thick in here. I don't think it'll ever go back. You can see how it is, what it looks like. That's what a clear cut looks like right there. Basically it's all maple trees, and there's a few cherry trees in there. But basically it's an impenetrable wall. Does do clear cuts improve the habitat? I would say no. There are a few oak trees in there, but the majority of those are poplars. It always turns into poplar poles. They take the oaks out and they cut them to the ground. If the oak trees don't drop any acorns, then they get outproduced by the other trees that are around them, which end up being poplars and birch trees. This area in here used to have a lot of deer, but the farmers put the smack down on them, and they shot a lot of them from crop damage. So if you hunt 257, the deer population is nowhere near what it used to be. They've been wiped out a lot, and then there's also a lot of coyotes in here. But let's take a walk down on the field edge here, and we'll take a look at that area. Alright, we're going to take a walk down to the edge of the field here. There are a lot of trees that are knocked down in here, so I already know what's going to happen. This area is going to be clear cut to the ground and called habitat improvement. And unfortunately, after they cut this, it'll never go back the way it was. It'll be poplar poles for the next 60 or 70 years. And it'll kind of look like what's along the road there. That clear cut along the road, I believe that was cut in 1990, somewhere around there, and it's still all poplar poles. But this area is going to be annihilated very soon. Telltale sign would be the orange ribbon here, and the blue dots. There are blue dots all through the woods here, and currently Clark's Creek is being annihilated. The Witter Company is clear cutting one side of the mountain. And Clark's Creek is a very interesting habitat. There are very few blowdowns in there. It's very limited thermal cover as far as winter cover. Summer cover is really not that important. The deer like to crawl underneath the pine trees and hemlocks to stay warm in the winter. And Clark's Creek in Stony Valley is devoid of that. Rhododendrons are always my favorite because they have leaves on all year long. Rhododendrons, you can actually tell how cold it is by looking at the leaves. The colder it gets, the further the leaves droop, and when it warms up, the leaves stand back up again. So they're like a built-in thermometer there. And rhododendrons are not native. They came from across the pond somewhere. Rhododendrons benefit the game population better than mountain laurel. They are much better at providing a winter thermal cover. And that would be another plant you could plant in your property if you want to help the deer, keep deer on your property during the winter. Plant some rhododendrons. They're very tough. They last forever, and they can survive freezing cold and drought. So let's take a walk down to the edge of the field here. I see lots of blue dots, so the tree annihilators will be coming to this area soon. Here's our first sign of a deer. For some reason, this side of the road, this is like the nursery areas for the doe and their fawns. But this is a tiny deer. There's a very tiny track here, very small. That buck's probably less than 100 pounds. And here's a licking branch. You got one hanging down and one busted off. A few posted signs along the edge of the field. There is a very faint trail here, but I have only seen one. I've already run into one large buck rub this year. That was at Clerks Creek. And usually the most of the sign you see is some very tiny deer. A few posted signs in here. Here's some old faded posted signs. And this area never used to be posted. Unfortunately, hunters behaving badly will make the farmers post their property. Everybody used to hunt deer, but anymore we're starting to fade away. And hunters are getting bolder and bolder, taking bigger and bigger risks. Put bait piles out, hunting on the edge of people's property, leaving trash behind. That'll make you lose your hunting spots. There's some poo here. That's very tiny. Huh. I bet that deer's about 60 or 70 pounds. All right, let's continue to walk down the edge here. See what else we can discover on Game Lands 257. There's a trail here going down the edge of the property, just like the other side, except there's no wire on this side of the road. And there's a giant rhododendrons. Some of these are over your head, and that's impenetrable. Here's a tree stand still up, right on the property line. The Game Commission property is on the right, the posted side is on the left. So you can walk right down the middle on this trail between right down the property line. And let's check out this tree stand. It's right on the edge of the property line. I never saw any big deer on this side. For some reason, this side of the road, there's always always tiny deer. When my dad hunted this back in the 60s and 70s, he said all the deer on this side are very tiny. He never sees any big ones. He just sees herds and herds of little tiny ones. So I'm going to say this is the nursery area. And you need more places like this to protect the doe with their fawns from the coyotes and the bear. And there's not too many places around like this. This is a two-seater tree stand. The tree stands are supposed to be down by the end of the season. The Game Commission likes to take them. If they find them and you don't remove them, they're also supposed to have a tag on them so they know whose tree stand it is. But there's a two-seater. I'm a little leery of tree stands. This one's been out for a while because it's green. The problem is if you leave a tree stand out, the metal becomes brittle and the straps become brittle. So when you climb up there, you have a really good chance of that coming out from underneath you. And you could end up dead or paralyzed. I believe there was a tree stand hunter in Pennsylvania this year. Climbed up in his tree stand, harnessed himself to the tree, and the tree stand came out from under him. So he was hanging in his harness for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours till he got rescued. They had to put a couple ladders on the tree and cut him out of his harness to get him down. Luckily he didn't drop his phone. You can also get blood clots from your tree stand harness that cut the blood flow off to your limbs, cause other problems. That's the reason I don't spend that much time in a tree stand. As the older I get, the less I want to be up in a tree. I've had some issues with tree stands myself. That'll be another video. We'll talk about tree stands in another video. And it's pretty thick in here. Let's walk down this trail and see what we can find. But you can tell how the rhododendrons are drooping down. So they're hanging straight down. And as the temperature warms up, your leaves will start to get back to where they were. And when next year's leaves come, they'll actually push the old leaves off, and then they'll fall off. This still kind of has some buds on here. It kind of looks like it's budding from the warm days. Maybe it thinks it's spring, but rhododendrons are tough. That's a cool plant. If you ever had to hunker down somewhere, find some rhododendrons like this and crawl under there and build yourself a little survival shelter, and you would be nice and warm and dry. All right, let's walk down this trail here, see if we can find some more rubs or something. Okay, we're at the impenetrable wall here, so I cannot walk any further due to the rhododendrons. There's some mountain laurel on here, and you can tell the difference. There's two of them here side by side. You even have buds that are starting to come out. So there's a rhododendron with the long leaves, and this is a mountain laurel. Both of them are toxic, and the flowers are toxic too, but I always see bees on them. People say deer never eat rhododendrons. Well, I would disagree with that, because I've watched them eat those over the years while I'm sitting up in my stand doing an all-day hunt, and they do nibble on the tips. So let's go back out to the road here, and we'll walk down the road. But you can see how thick it is in here. This is a rhododendron jungle in here. It's pretty much impenetrable. So I'm going to walk up to the road, and we'll stroll down the road, take a look at that. Stay with us. Here's a new gate. This one looks fairly recent. You must have just put this here. Still got some fresh dirt in there. Everything's nice and shiny. The gate out front was a number on that front. "10A." The gate out front had 10 on it. This one has 10A. So this must be the second parking lot for this area. This looks fairly new. I'm not going to go any further down this road. Everything back here looks the same. And I've hiked back here a few times in the winter when there was snow in the ground. And there's a little hill back here. There's a hill back here. If you go back far enough, it'll go to a small hill, and then it'll go up. And I've never actually had a reason to go any further than that. In the wintertime, I don't even see deer tracks back here going across the trail. There's some old coyote poop on the rock. Down there further, starting to turn white. But basically everything back here looks the same. Basically it's a giant boulder field, and if you look down there you can see all the rocks. All the habitat back here looks the same. And on the other side we have a spotted lanternfly kill. And walking back here, the whole ridge line looks the same. Almost every one of these trees up there are dead. You can see the bark peeling off. So this whole state game lands is going to look like that eventually. It's amazing how much infestation damage can do to miles and miles of oak. And when chestnut blight came, I'm sure it looked like that too. From what I researched online, when the chestnut blight came, they started to knock all the chestnut trees down and make lumber out of them. So there's a lot of furniture around me from very old chestnut trees. And basically that was a food source for them and a way of life. And it brought a lot of money into the economy. And when the blight came, it wiped everything out, which is going to be very similar to this. And everything in here is dead. Almost every tree up there you can see bark. I've walked about a mile down this road, and nothing has changed. So definitely the woods of Pennsylvania will change in the next 20 years. I think mostly all the hardwoods will vanish, along with the ash trees and whatever else the invasive species are destroying. I think Pennsylvania will mostly become maple, poplar, and a lot of birch trees. That'll pretty much be all that's left. Definite impacts on the deer and the bear population and the turkey population. No food, no wildlife. So how could you fix that? I would start doing a lot of burns and try to regenerate what's coming up there. I would make clover patches up there for the turkeys and the deer, and I would start planting a lot of heavy groves of pine trees for thermal cover for the animals. That's how I would improve a lot of this. A lot of these woods, a lot of the game lands look like desert wastelands. The habitat is so poor, and On a scale of 1 to 5, what kind of deer habitat is this? I would say a 1. But the habitat back here is terrible. The only place I saw some deer tracks were down there in the beginning, and they were all very tiny. That's the end of this scouting trip for this game lands. This area is a bust. I wouldn't even waste my time coming back here to hunt. It's probably poor habitat for just about everything. I did see a red-tailed hawk. There's a very old coyote sign on the road here. Every once in a while I see some scat on top of a pile of rocks, but other than that, there's nothing back here. All right, thanks for coming along today. Like, share, and subscribe. And our quest will continue, looking for some sheds and some new areas to investigate next year during the hunting season. As always, like, share, and subscribe. And if you're new to PA Timber Goose, welcome to the family. We'll see you on the next video.